and accept that mistakes happen. And mistakes can be the best thing. In fact, mistakes often are the best thing that happen in your journey towards success. Hello, I am Lisa Fox, and this is Lioness Tribe. And today we are talking about confidence, mistakes, and disappointments. And although it sounds like a heavy enough topic, stick with me because it's actually going to be, I think, dare I say it, quite inspirational. My chair is squeaking like mad. So yeah, what did I want to say about this? So this came up recently for me in one of my sessions with my clients. She asked me about how she was like, how do you marry the idea of disappointments, past disappointments, and having faith, you know? Because we were talking about law of attraction, we were talking about, you know, your desire and like that idea that your desire is the most important thing, and it's the number one step in actually drawing to you what it is that you want, is actually naming your desire, owning it, acknowledging it, valuing it, and trusting that you can have it. Now, I have a whole process, around this, which I won't go into now. But the idea is that you name your desire and you acknowledge it and you own it. Then you feel worthy of getting it. Then you align with your desire. Then you take inspired actions. And then you get one step closer. Every time you take an inspired action, you get one step closer to manifesting what you want. But so her question was, yeah, but if, in the past I thought I had faith and yet I didn't, get the thing that I wanted and I was really disappointed. And how then can I have faith that I can get it now? And my answer is, number one, it's so important to feel worthy of the thing that you are trying to bring into your life. And um also though, also I think that this element of faith kind of has to go beyond what our immediate control in the situation is, right? Because that's what faith is. We cannot control everything, and we cannot control when the things that we actually want manifest into our lives. We have to have faith that they're coming to us, that they're all in the process of being drawn to us. Um, and staying in that confident place of going, yes, I'm worthy of having what I want, even if I didn't get it yet. And this is the thing, it's like the reality is that I don't have what I want. But you could sit with that feeling of disappointment of like, oh, I tried and I really want um this thing, and I have faith and I have faith and it's still not coming, and you're in this vibration of disappointment. But the vibration of disappointment in itself is what's blocking you. So you have to find a way to reframe that. Do you know what I just saw? So is it because my lives are at 1 o'clock, my lunch is also either just before or just after my live. So I pretty much always look back at my videos, I'm always like, oh my God, there's my lunch ready to be eaten, or my lunch already haven't been eaten. So I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry. Um, yeah. So yeah, this thing of reframing. So we have to sometimes reframe things, so that we can just get into a better vibration, and so that we can get into a more worthy feeling place and feel more confident, so that we can actually attract the things that we want rather than repel them again and again and again and over and over and over again with this feeling of disappointment. And here, I'll get it. When we make mistakes, it can be really painful, and it can be really, really um hard. because we're perfectionists, us women, right? We're perfectionists. It's kind of, for a lot of us, it's our default. Now, I call myself a perfectionist in recovery because I've actually really, I've gotten into the habit of taking messy, imperfect action and trusting myself that, that everything is in alignment and everything is going the way it should be going. Um, but mistakes, even though they're painful, even though they can be a bit embarrassing, even though they feel tough and mistakes can sometimes make us feel like we're in the wrong place. I always urge people to just go back, take a step back, go back to the desire part, go back to the bit where they're like, this is what I want, and I know what I want, and I know that it's a true intention, and and try and get back into that worthy feeling place of it, and accept that mistakes happen, and mistakes can be the best thing. In fact, mistakes often are the best thing that happen in your journey towards success, and disappointments often are the best thing that can happen in your journey towards success if you can reframe it and just feel good about them and trust that they're all part of what's leading you. They're all part of what you needed to learn in order to get to where you wanted to go, right? We can use mistakes and disappointments as stepping stones. It's like, now I know more. Now I know more. Now I made that mistake. I won't do that again. And I know a little bit more about how I need to get to where I want to go and how I want to feel about how I get to where I want to go. So something that made a huge impact on me in the last few years, I worked on a Tony Award winning show called Once the Musical. And the musical director in that show had a profound effect on me, actually, in many ways, even though he probably doesn't know it. But so in the musical, I was playing the fiddle, I was singing, I was dancing, and I was acting. They say triple threat. I was a quadruple threat in that show. But so I was playing the fiddle, and I actually hadn't played the fiddle in quite a few years. And I had like a background in music and background in and I was at a very high level in a previous life, but over the last few years before I got hired to do this show, hadn't been playing that much, so my confidence wasn't where it used to once be with playing the fiddle. And I was like playing music that was harder than any music that I had played before. Um, and it was amazing and it was a challenge and everything. But my music director noticed that I would, when I wasn't terribly used to one of the songs or one of the pieces of music, I would tend to kind of be a bit reticent and hold back a little bit and kind of play quietly and softly, and be afraid because I knew I was going to make mistakes, right? And I didn't want to mess everything up for everybody else. So I'd be like, okay, when I know how to play it really well, I'll play it really, really loud and I'll play it strong and do it. But he said to me, took me aside, he said, Lisa, you've got to be willing to play it wrong and strong, because that is how you're actually going to learn um what not to do. That's what rehearsals are for. That you're going to learn way more from your mistakes than you are going to learn from playing it right but quietly, because at some point you have to play it loud, right? It might as well be from the beginning. You might as well get into the habit of being brave and making your mistakes out in the open. And that, I think that was the first time in my life actually that I actually realized that being a perfectionist was really, really holding me back, because when I started to play wrong and strong, I started to pick up the music much quicker. I started to be much braver about playing as well, and I accomplished way more in a much shorter space of time. And yes, there was that painful moment of the mistake, and that's sort of like when you're a perfectionist, you're so embarrassed by your mistakes. You're like, oh my God, I shouldn't, you feel like you're the only person ever in the world who has ever made a mistake. but you're not. And actually, when you are brave enough to make your mistakes wrong and strong, it gives a permission slip to other people to do the same thing, and then they can make the same fast progress that you've also made the leap to make. Um, so it's just a way of like reframing that whole thing of mistakes, perfectionism. It's like, no, mistakes are part of the process. Disappointments are part of the process. But just because you've made a mistake, or just because you've come across some sort of disappointment on your way to success, doesn't mean that you are not worthy of success. It does not mean that you are not meant for success. All it means is that this is another step on the ladder of success. It's like this is the next thing that's going to help you to get there, because a mistake or a disappointment is just something that's going to give you a little bit more information, right? To help you on your way to where you're going. Um, and if you can trust that, and if you can accept that, and if you can go with the flow of that, then you'll just stop getting in your own fucking way and stop blocking yourself off all the time and telling yourself like this mad inner voice going, oh, I'm not supposed to do this and I'm not supposed to do that. And maybe that wasn't meant for me. And maybe, like I just wasn't meant to do that. And maybe I wasn't meant to succeed. And maybe I wasn't meant to be wealthy. And maybe I wasn't meant to, change the world. And blah, 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 blah. Yes, you were. You were meant to do whatever it is in your heart to do. You were meant to do whatever it is that you desire to do. You are worthy of it, and any mistake that you could make is not going to make you any less worthy of it. In fact, it's going to make you more worthy of it. So just reframe it for yourself. Um, and the other big thing that um that changed my life is this thing. And actually, I meant to take this off my board um before the call, but I forgot. So I'm just going to take it down now. So another thing that I have chosen to believe in is perfect timing. And actually, the exact same client who asked me about this, how do you match up like the disappointments and keeping the faith, um, asked me last week in our session. So she had asked me this in one of the first question in one of our first sessions, and last week she asked me about this. She's like, I said, can you believe in perfect timing? Because, she was struggling with managing a few things in her life and managing a few things in her business that she thought were going to keep her on track to success, right? And I was like, can you believe in perfect timing and just allow it? And she was like, no, I actually can't, because I'm just not built like that. And I was like, and I told her this story that I'm about to tell you now. When the pandemic hit, right, I was well on my way to having my first six-figure year in business in my in-person performance art school, right? And pandemic hit, suddenly the business went way down. Not didn't disappear, but it went way down. And I was pregnant at the time as well. And the world was in an awful state of chassis. That, like, obviously, like, and we're still not there yet, but um I was pregnant and very, very stressed. And I just thought to myself, I cannot let this feeling prevail in this pregnancy. I don't want, because I knew that whatever I was feeling, the fetus was feeling. My baby was feeling that too. And I was like, I don't want her first feelings to be feelings of stress and anxiety. And it was so easy for me to feel, and so natural for me to feel those feelings of stress and anxiety. And like, I was so disappointed. I'd done all the mindset work. I had spent so much time doing self-development work. And I had spent so much time on my business as well. Somebody about to ring my doorbell. Please ignore. Um, Just see out onto the front. Um, but yeah, so sorry, I was distracted there. I I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed that after all my hard work, that I was finally getting to this place where I was, reaching this milestone in my business, and suddenly, and through no fault of my own, and I had absolutely no control over it, my business just went immediately. And I just thought, because I was pregnant, I have to find a way not to feel like this. So I was listening to one of my favorites, Abraham Hicks, right, on YouTube. And it was suggested to me through that video. Can you believe in perfect timing? Because if you can believe in that, then you will find evidence to suggest that everything is happening in perfect timing. If you can practice the belief that everything is happening in perfect timing for me, then your brain will start to find evidence that everything is happening in perfect timing for you. And then you will attract more of the same. And everything will happen in perfect timing for you more and more and more. So when I heard that, I decided, okay, I'm going to practice that belief that everything is happening in perfect timing, right? And let me tell you, it has changed my whole life, because since I put that up on my vision board, and especially during that time, I woke up every morning and I practiced the belief everything is happening perfect timing for me. I'm so grateful that everything happens in perfect timing for me. How does everything happen in perfect timing for me? Well, this is how. And I started like thinking of things in new ways, and thinking, actually, how are things happening in perfect timing for me? And I found loads of evidence that things were happening in perfect timing. Things had always happened in perfect timing for me. And then I was able to move forward and stop being stuck, and and feel better, which is the most important thing, and be less of a perfectionist, and trust that whatever action I took was going to be the right action, even if it led to mistakes, even if, like, there were some disappointments along the way. My overriding feeling belief was that everything was happening in perfect timing for me, and therefore it did. And things evolved in a way that I could never have imagined, right? And I made so many mistakes along the way, so many mistakes along the way, and have had loads of little disappointments along the way. But when I took this as my mantra, my main mantra in life, so many things changed. Um, my business went, for the most part. I'm actually just finishing up with my performance arts school for the summer, but with a very, very small amount of children in comparison to what I had. However, I have managed to, through pregnancy and having a very brand new baby, I have managed to build a brand new business, and I'm already on track to a six-figure year with a brand new business. And I credit this with that. And I credit the fact that I have now managed to reframe any mistakes that I have made, will make, I'm bound to make, as part of the journey, part of the process to my success. And I do not let them hold me back. And when I have momentary disappointments, I go, it's okay. I'm allowed to feel it. I'm allowed to, you know, like feel like I want to kick myself sometimes. I'm allowed to go through all that. But then I always go back to this belief: everything is happening in perfect timing. Mistakes are okay, disappointments are fine. They're all part of the process, and they're all bring me closer to my hopes and dreams. Um, I know that everybody has felt, the pain of mistakes and disappointment. And I know that, that in different phases of your life, they have made you feel like success wasn't meant to be for you. But I hope that now you're able to reframe that and actually use your mistakes, your disappointments, to build your confidence and know that everybody makes mistakes. Everybody suffers disappointment sometimes. But when you can make those things that hurt in that moment part of your journey to confidence and part of your success story, then everything will change. Everything will change. I love you so much. Confidence plus faith equals success. I'll see you next week. Bye.